and welcome to Awaken Your Human Design. My name is Moni. This is Danny. And today we're going back to some basics. We're going back to authority, and we're going to go through them and just talk about them and see what we can find out and share with you, lovelies.
It's such a good idea, really, just to step right back into authority. I not tell you the truth, I forget exactly to what degree we've already covered authority. I know we've done stuff on it, but I mean, all we're going to do is just talk about authority and then keep in mind everything we've sort of been talking about so far, sort of concluded at a larger level.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like we're always going to be revisiting the same things over and over and in different ways. And we're always going to have new people who don't know too much about it, who haven't seen our older stuff. So it'll always be interesting. And especially like strategy and authority or like your base main things where I often tell people it's like if you don't remember anything else I say, it's just like learn your strategy and authority, play with these two things, and that'll take you pretty far. So it's always good to revisit, I figure.
Mm. Hmm.
And if you're interested in booking a reading with either Danny or myself, check out the QR code above me or the link is down in the description box below. And you can use code AWAKEN for 10% off. So check that out. We can hang out, talk about your chart, and get into some good stuff. And also, if you've been getting a lot out of our episodes of videos and everything we've been teaching, check out the donate QR code above. The link is also down in the description box below if you'd like to help encourage us and support us. And we very much appreciate you.
Yeah, I sure hope so. We put a lot in.
Absolutely. So, thank you to everyone who is watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, hanging out with us. We love having you, and let's get into it.
Do it.
So, starting off, we're going to talk about authority and what is this concept of authority in human design. And so, this is how to make individually correct decisions. We are all conditioned to seek approval and authority outside of ourselves, and we're tempted to make decisions from the mind. But we all have a trustworthy personal authority on the inside to rely on to make choices. And when we intentionally practice strategy and authority to align with our unique geometry, subsequently, our genetic makeup, our reason for incarnating, and our uniqueness all express through us as our true self, and things naturally fall into place.
Yeah, it's that naturally falling into place part that is the hardest thing in a way because you're always waiting for it to naturally fall in place. And there's every reason in the world, so you think, to get nervous, to get scared, to let your mind run away, all the things that pull us away from our nature. But this whole inner authority business, just generally, I sort of, even though we have to refer to outer authority, your authority is the thing, and inner, outer authority doesn't matter which as we get through them all. But this place inside of you, this thing that you are that literally tells you the reliability of the actual decision you're about to make and how you're going to feel about it afterwards, right? And how it's going to affect your capacity to empower things for yourself and to share what's right for you to share and all of the above. If you're emotional, it's one way. If you're sacral, it's one way. And these are ways you can see. And that's why it refers to this genetic makeup, because as we know, human design keynotes the genetic material below that bubbles up to the surface to become the life we live. So this inner authority stuff is going to be good.
And it's like if you think of it as life is a series of decisions, it's like a series of forks in the road of are you going to go left, are you going to go right? Because it's going to be drastically different which direction you go. If you go left, you make this decision, you do this, you study this in school, you go this career, you go right, you do a whole different form of study and education and career and whatnot. And like those are two completely different life paths. And so, how do we know how to decide on that? Some people it's like make the gut decision and follow your instincts, and other people it's like no, 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 they got to sleep on it. And there's so many little different nuances on
In
how we
between,
can, yeah, in
yeah,
between on like how we can learn for us, because my decision making is very different than yours, is very different than somebody else's. And so this way that we can make it unique to us, where it's not just a one size fits all, it's so very specific. And if we can tune that in for ourselves, that will lead us to better lives, as well as understanding that other people have a different authority, decision making strategy. And then, we can maybe be a bit more compassionate to like, why can't they tell me right away, or whatever it might be.
there's one for you. How come they don't know right away? How come they're making me wait? Stuff like that. Absolutely. Nope. Authority is just very important that everyone recognizes, and it's especially And I can't say only, but it's very just so much directly related into the act of the decision. Not the necessarily feeling about it beforehand, not any mental concerns before you got to a decision that whatever suddenly brought you off track from your strategy and authority, but the actual moment of the decision that this authority is there to tell you its correctness. Imagine that. Imagine that. And then you keep a scorecard, by the way, for a year or for a month. And I promise you, the ones that follow your strategy and authority are the ones that you're like, I want that to guide my life. And the ones that don't are like, oh my God, that's how I got here.
And
Now,
that
I don't know
set
who's going to do that. That's a real. I'm not. I'm totally not even going to follow my own advice because I know I won't. I'm going to forget. But for anyone who can, please, right? That's funny.
Yeah, and the idea of like how it feels in your body. Like, does it feel good or does it feel like "Nyeh," and all like glitchy and weird? Like we know when we're flowing. We know when you're like everything is lining up and it just going so good and you're flowing with the universe compared to when you're trying to make it happen or you agreed to something that you're like, "Well, I shouldn't have agreed to that." And it feels glitchy and jagged and it's like the circuitry isn't just flowing, it's like edgy and it's spiky. It doesn't feel good. And learning how to tune into that as a signpost.
It's also not at full capacity. Measure that too. It's never at full capacity when it's not you. You count on that.
Mosey?
Mhm.
So, starting off with emotional authority. And so, this is like 47 to 50% of the population will kind of change depending on the year. But basically, half of all of the people out there are emotional authority. And that means there's no truth in the now because they're always somewhere on this wave. So, emotional authority takes precedence over all other authority centers. The emotional wave requires that you must wait for clarity. There's no truth in the now and truth reveals itself fully only over time. It emerges eventually, and you have a sense of clarity. So, with emotional authority, patience is key. There's no truth in the moment. Spontaneous decisions are untrustworthy and are a signpost to the not self trying to make that decision. And emotional authority needs more time to better allow the clarity to develop. So, wait for calm waters before making decisions like with our little graphics I picked out, it's like you're, a ship or a buoy out on the ocean and the waves are going up and down and up and down. And if you're going to, decide what you're doing when you're on a high wave, but then, a day later you're going to be low, you got to wait for the oceans to kind of find their clarity and even out.
You know, that emotional solar plex. By the way, I think Jovian came out with their numbers for 2024 or 5 mid-year maybe. I think it's closer to almost 52% or 51 point something percent, but I'm not sure. We can check that as it
Yeah,
relates to
depending on the
percent.
transits and what's going on.
No, just being born. They're when they calculate their number on this particular one, it's just
Yeah,
what came in
that's what I'm
without the
saying. Which
transits.
planets are where?
So when you get to this internal emotional authority and this thing moves on a wave, anybody who knows anything about just regular science, like sort of simple science, it is the wave. It's the wave principle. It is any wave. That note of A 440 until A has gone A up 440 and then A all the way down 440 as a cyclical wave. Do we even hear it as a note yet? You never hear half a note, right? Think about that. And you don't have half an emotional wave. Really. You have movement that must go in both directions before the truest of clarity is going to be there. Now, if you're emotional and you're watching this, you have emotional inner authority, you have that definition. If you've looked into this, you know what channel is defining it. So you got a sort of an idea of what that is coming in. You watch this. It will follow this pattern every single time. And that's the low side that is a turbulent place that definitely not to make a decision, but to witness the capacity for the creative output to start to brew and gestate, and this ground inside that becomes fertile and it's ready to just spring up with everything. So before you let it spring up with weeds, and definitely before you put some chemical weed killer on it, don't do that. You know, just witness. The witness seeing actually transforms it. Remember, passenger consciousness. We sit in the back seat. What does the backseat driver do, right? Looks out the window. This is the story Rob would always tell. What are they doing with the emotional wave? You're witnessing it. You're in the backseat that's taking you on a ride. And when you finally get to clarity, you'll see it. And you'll be like, this is way more clear. And by the way, if you're going to journal this or at least take some notes on your life, witness over the course of 6 months or so that every time you don't do it, you pay. You pay. Or if you don't pay, it's through careful like skating on shaky ice that's too thin and either way it's you pay. And so start to witness that because emotional clarity that comes as an awareness from the emotional wave moving and up, down, and then back up again from hope to pain and then back again. You need that because at the end of it, the clarity becomes steadfast, almost in a way as steadfast as the ego can make a commitment. The emotional clarity can say, not for me. And then all the enticement and all the peer pressure in the world and all the other stuff, it's clear, or however way it goes, or yes, it is for me, or move that, absolutely go that direction. That's where I'm headed. All these things become steadfast with just as much commitment power as a defined will type decision in the now, with the exception of the defined will is definitely going to need to sleep at some point and rest and be done with the day. But this emotional process, depending on how much you let it flow, could last the rest of your life as it relates to, the mind held on to it over all of time. Spleen saw it was true for you. Will sees it doesn't even have to prove it anymore. It can just take part. This is a steadfast place, this clarity. So no truth in the now, but plenty of truth flowing in, and then good truth real soon. And even if you have a sacral, you got tons of truth flowing in right now, right? Let's say you're a sacral being, tons of truth flowing in right now, but none of it is the full decision worthy truth. It's just truth now. Yeah, I know. I totally don't like that. Oh, but I do like this. Well, and I put them both together. Now I don't like it again. Yeah, sacral will keep telling you maybe, however, that was supposed to work along the way. And you witness it. And you also witness, oh my God, my sacral is driving on a river of my emotional up and down wave that must complete a cycle because you never hear half a note.
Yeah, emotional authority, it's like it's those snapshots, but it's not the entire picture book. Like
Hmm.
you're getting a sense of like, here's where it's at right now, but that doesn't mean it's telling the entirety of the story. So like emotional authority is very like sleep on it. Like allow yourself before you're agreeing to something of like, I can't make that decision yet. I need a little bit of time. Let me sleep on it. I'll get back to you when I know, and just give yourself that out, because if you agree to something when you're in the high wave and then a week later like, why did I agree to that? Now I have to do it. You're feeling awful. It wasn't meant for you. Nothing works out kind of thing.
Right. And it's that thing you can count on it being that way. That's what I'm saying. If you journal this, or at least if all you have to do is really be paying attention, willing to see it. And then, the next time it happens, you'll have a distinct recollection of the last time it happened. And even if you just do it that way, you will see, geez, I better wait for this thing. And the temptation to try and avoid the feeling of the lowness, the up, sometimes it feels like edging on despair, or it could be there, or it feels like a hopelessness, or just this low funk of melancholy that is like deep inside you, and you don't like it, is what I'm trying to get at. You don't want it, and that's your feeling about it. That can never be the place by which you say, no more of this, and you make that decision, and you drop that hammer, and you lower that boom. No can do. There's no room. You can't have it. It will fall in the wrong place for you, and you'll see. By the way, do it anyway, but do it with the awareness of the passenger in the back seat that's witnessing. Okay, let's see how this guy says it's not going to work out. Let's see if that's true. Watch it for yourself. You'll see. You want the steadfast, by the way. It's so fulfilling. It's so much better. It's like worth waiting for.
Yeah, and
Wait a
being
little
able to,
longer, you'll have all the sprinkles on top. If we go to the next friendlies, they have all the sprinkles on top. So I wait, right?
yeah, I was gonna say also recognizing the kind of like viscosity of the emotional wave. So
Mm.
I'm not emotional, so I don't know what it's like to have an internal emotional wave, but I know what it's like to be around emotionally defined people and what my amplified, distorted experience of that is, where it's like it literally is a wave. There's a viscosity to it of like a heaviness to this liquid. And so when someone is high in their emotional wave, it's so bubbly, it's like champagne, or like when they drink the fizzy lifting drink in Willy Wonka and they go floating. It is so bubbly and happy and bouncing, like, oh my God, this feels great. I love when the emotional people are happy. On the converse, when the emotional people are in a heavy, bad, dark, whatever place, it is like molasses. It is heavy, it is syrupy, it is consuming. It feels like you're going to drown in it. And so, for everyone, emotionally defined or not, to recognize that. So, like Danny said, we can observe it. When we observe it, it
You're
changes it.
breaking up a little bit, Moni, just so you know. I'm not sure if
Oh
that's me or
no.
you.
I hope it's okay. Yeah, but to recognize with the emotional wave that there's this viscosity of high, bubbly, and low and heavy. And so if you can kind of witness it, if it's your authority, recognize, hey, I'm in a high place. Let's not commit to something. Hey, I'm in a low place. Even if I feel low, it's going to go back up again, and realize that changing nature of the wave.
That again, cyclical. The note always plays, meaning it does always go back up, just like it always goes back down. Trust that part too. So you can stop waiting for it to stay up and hoping, or dreading that it went down and hoping there that it stops, like at your on your time. Stop, quit looking at it that way. That's not how it works. It never stops. And then you become rich and wise from it. So quit complaining.
And just commit to your houseboat life.
Yes, 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 yes. Please.
Perfect. Any other final thoughts, or are we moseying?
Yeah, there is a final thought. That houseboat is actually a good thing because as it goes up and down, they get to view from all around. The rest of us are stuck on a plain, straight, flat line, awaiting to see all the more that the emotional process and awareness gives us. Emotional authority is the aspect in us that gives us clean emotional awareness, which, by the way, when you light up that spirit with the right emotional awareness, it can only emotionally and very directly drive a direction towards more love and beauty and more communion. Ponder that. So that's the power waiting in this, both individually and at the, collective level.
Perfect. Now you ready to mosey?
Hmm.
So next up, we have sacral authority. This is 35% of the population. No, it's not. That would be for either gender. Oh, no, it would be. Okay, so sacral authority is 35% because some of them might be emotional authority. So sacral authority is 35% of the population. These are our generators and our manifesting generators who do not have their emotional solar plexus defined. So this is just if you got that little red square without the emotional one. And so there's the it generators and manifesting generators with this sacral authority, there's an immediate sacral voice that is responding, uh huh, yes, or no. And if there's any hesitation, it's a ask again later or ask it differently. Sacral authority shows generators through response what is correct for them, what their boundaries are, and what they have the energy for. Truth is in the present time, and it cannot predict the future. Sacral authority is reliable, honest, and trustworthy guide to reducing resistance and maximizing satisfaction.
That's the whole thing. It's about maximizing that satisfaction. That will help light your way. It becomes a candle. It becomes a giant lantern when you start really seeing it. The maximization of the sacral authority is to recognize A, you have no emotional authority, and B, you're a generator. So you've got an open and enveloping aura, and you're duty bound to await the little Buddha inside, this little sacral that acts a little bit like a diaphragm against the rest of the world. So anything that coming in, it bounces back a response, and it's immediate, and it's faster than mind. And that sacral response is just waiting to tell you, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. The sacral is the reason I came up with the whole, notion for all the types included, but the sacral started it out for me was listen to the kid because the kid is always right. And that led immediately to, and you have to see it. You have to see this unfolding so that you can kill the conditioning, and correct all of that. So the kid is always right. This is the sacral, that thing that gets up and runs and does the next thing. Its job is to expend energy. Think about that. got a beautiful keynote of sustainment, right? It sustains at what it commits its sacral energy to, and its commitment is in a guttural sound first. If you're a manifesting generator, it might be in words, but there's a guttural sound under it that's saying, uh-huh, yeah, and it's like ready to go. And it makes lots of sounds. Just sit in a room with a bunch of sacral beings, and you'll hear all kinds of, yeah, sounds like you're listening to adult babies. If you were to be able to speed it up a little bit to turn it into Alvin the Chipmunk, like you'd think you were hearing, babies, right? Something like
What a
that.
what an analogy.
I know Alvin and Chipmunks. I love that.
Mhm.
So, um, so this generative inside of us capacity to simply have an immediate response means we have to treat our responsiveness like laughter. You can only laugh right now. You can't laugh. You can't. It's not. You're not laughing if you're saying I'm laughing a minute from now. Everyone's going to be like, maybe. No, you're not. Yeah, right.
Or it's fake, like, you can't make it
Right.
happen.
Right. It's just not. It's not the thing yet.
Fake
Be-
laughter is, like, super cringy and super awkward and needs to just be pure response in the moment, or you can feel something is off and it doesn't work right.
Totally. Totally. And so when we talk about authority, we're talking about truth. And since each being is unique, it's your truth. Whoever's like looking right back at me, looking at you, it's your truth only, first and foremost. And then there's obviously commonalities amongst all the other people with a similar authority and strategy and so forth. But regardless, it's still yours. That means the pure generator or the manifesting generator without the solar plex only has truth in the now. Exactly the opposite. Only. So the world saw fit to basically, you know, give us a whole chunk of this and a whole chunk of that. The two biggest chunks are the sacral and the solar plex.
Emotional.
Yeah, emotional authority. So no truth in the now leads directly to I have an immediate response, and that becomes truth to you because it means it's where the sacral is saying this is the place to place your energy. The sacral is literally the guardian of the energy, and nothing moves without the energy. Without the sacral juice, the planet doesn't, it stops moving. We'll have pockets of emotional movement and ego stuff. I'm sure we'll get plenty of things done, but the world stops moving essentially. And we need it. And these beings have no truth that lasts beyond the now. When I say no truth, their truth is a culmination of all the nows that went before it. They have to wait for that response to know right in the now that this is the thing. And they have to do it without interference of mental expectations, the mental glazing that wants to put some conditions on what I'm about to respond. All of this haze that mind thinks of, you have to start to see the difference. It's so easy to miss, but if someone starts pointing it out to you, when I ask a generator sacral questions, they see it pretty quickly. And suddenly it becomes, yeah, I don't want that. Well, that sounds true then. Yeah, no, let's do that. That sounds true. Hope that stopped sounding true. Like it happens that fast. Hey, do you like blue? Sounds like you don't really like it. You
I
can
mean, it's
spare your
okay, and they'll come up with a whole mental
all the
story to not
words,
make
and they're
you
just
feel
like,
bad.
and if we're and the thing is, in respect to not only the generator that was coming up with all the words they didn't want, but to myself as a generator, I would say to them, I would like the last 18.5 seconds of my life back, please. that and for your life back as well. You know what I mean? Because we spend so much of that energy that we don't want to spend. It's just the thing. So recognize that you have this beautiful responsive nature that's just whistling Dixie like the 4-year-old inside of you, the kid. And suddenly there is something, a word, a sight, a sound, a thought. You bumped into somebody, what doesn't matter what it is. Your partner said something. The sacral is now alive with your truth. And that's the moment it is alive with your truth. And if you wait another moment to determine something was true, your mind got involved. When I say moment, I'm talking, half a second. So that's when its truth comes out. The second something happens. So be whistling Dixie generators. If you got no emotional authority, you're a sacral being. You're a pure sacral being. Manifesting or a pure generator doesn't matter. And there's your truth. You are whistling Dixie until there is something. And then you know it's true. And that's the time you actually know it's true. So start charting that. witness that. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, I feel
I
like sacral
think
authority
that
is the
sounds simpler, Moni.
Yeah, yeah. I will try to make it less convoluted. Yeah, I feel like sacral authority is kind of just like the easiest one in a sense because it's like you have a battery. Your job is to use that battery every single day. What do you use the battery for? See what your response is. And sacral authority, it is the magic eight ball. That's why I chose that graphic. It's like you have pure sacral authority, you are a magic eight ball. Yes, no, ask again later. Like it's so straightforward of what it is. My boyfriend is a pure manifesting generator with sacral authority, and I treat him like a magic eight ball. I ask him simple yes no questions, one at a time. I give him a chance to respond, and it's either like, yep, nope, and then maybe he'll start coming up with a story to make it something feel. But I'm like, I know you already got your sacral. Your sacral already said you're not into it. If it's a oh, I don't maybe later, it's just like no, your sacral's not into it. Don't lie to me. I have your immediate truth in the now. So if you have sacral authority, just have people treat you like a magic eight ball and let your sacral be your guide.
Anything he could possibly say after any all the
It's nonsense.
words, it might come out true. It might be on. All you can do is allow it to be like a weather vane. It might point this way. But if the other being sits there and builds an expectation over what was just said, like, oh, I might want to go. You know what? I sort of like that movie, but they leaned it towards trying to make the other happy a little bit, right? Just
Oh,
in that moment.
completely.
Yes, and just in
You don't
that
want to hurt their
moment,
feelings.
right? And so yeah, that person sets an expectation. That sacral has definitely not told the truth in those words, but they might have said through their outer authority some stuff that might be on their mind about it. That's all it is a thing. So don't take it as meaning making. You have to wait till the next point of response. No meaning making outside of response. If you're not a responder, you're a liar accidentally and you don't like it. You know, little minute one, but over and over is a thing.
You're like a tiny repetitive liar.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like those little toy soldiers where the guy comes in, it's like, oh my God, they've come alive, and they're shooting little bows and arrows, and it's like a pinprick. But 100 times later, the guy's bloody and trying to get out the door, and
It's like Gulliver's Travels.
Now it's Steven Spielberg sci-fi and no longer toy soldier sci-fi. But you know,
Yeah. Sacral authority, though, it's see your response in the moment and also experiment with it. Like, don't listen to anything that we say. Play with it. See what happens as a generator, manifesting generator. See what happens when you try to initiate compared to when you wait to respond. See what happens when you listen to your sacral response and see what happens when you don't or when you go against it. Like play that experiment. It's yours to play. See what happens, see what feels better. See when you flow with the universe and see when you're swimming upstream and it's agitating and annoying and people around you are annoyed and everything feels weird. Like that's for you to play with and learn what feels good and what works out best and, make your decisions accordingly
right in the now.
in the now.
Witness your truth in the now. Don't miss it anymore. It's happening all the time. It's happening right now. It's
Mhm.
the magic eight ball thing is a great analogy.
It's just like literally what I see it as is just if you're pure sacral, you're not emotional. It's just ask a yes no question in the same way you'd ask a magic eight ball. And if there's hesitation or then it is. It's ask again later or ask it differently. But otherwise it's yep, nope, and see where that takes you.
And the funny thing is, it's even the eight ball is slow because you're still waiting for it to come into focus for that whole second or two. Sacral's even working faster than that. It's
Oh, it's
funny
it's
how
like a
fast
rubber
it is.
band. The
Yep.
sacral
Snap.
response, it's so quick, and especially with the pure manifesting generators with that 3420, it is the quickest snap of a rubber band that it is just
Right.
immediate that you can feel that is like, and that rubber band. So that's kind of cool too. Is the idea of the sacral as like a diaphragm, right? This idea of you have this battery that is full of energy and it is your job to use that battery every day. And when the sacral responds, it's indicating that that diaphragm opens so that energy can flow out. And so, like, you could feel it, especially. I mean, I don't know what it feels like for a sacral being, but as a non sacral, I could feel the sacral authority snap like a rubber band, almost to the point where it can be like abrasive and like uncomfortable because it could be so intense.
Does that happen with me for you? It must sometimes.
Probably you're farther away since we're like, digital friends. So probably a little bit it happens with you, but especially with like my boyfriend, because
In
he's a
aura,
3420.
yes, it's guys
And
that,
then it's
yeah,
especially.
yeah, Moni's pointing out, we do transfer our aura over these airwaves to a degree. We transfer parts of it. I have never really known what measurement of that do we transfer to place on that, but I know it's some. But in aura for real, within, 6 to 8 feet of the other person, that's the real daddy. That's the game. I'm ready.
Awesome. So next up, we have splenic authority, and this is 11% of the population. And this is existential in the moment truth, especially related to like health and safety. This is an instantaneous resonance and recognition if something is healthy for you or not. And it's a highly evolved survival intelligence. It requires deep attention to subtle psychological sensations and staying present and tuned into the body's knowing. The splenic voice, it speaks softly and it does not repeat. It's like a little whisper that comes through because then another scan is already happening to give you the next little bit of information. This is a purely existential, in the moment authority, and it's designed to keep you safe. Do not allow your mind, emotional needs, wants, or others' pressure to second guess or override your splenic messages because that's what's true for you to
That's what
know how to make
happens.
correct decisions.
Yeah, yeah. The spleen, I call this a little bit the cat on a hot tin roof inner authority because it's this way. Oh, it's that way. Oh, now it's this way. Now it's this thing.
It's like finicky.
It can be, well, it can also just squirrel,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the MG. That's probably better. Squirrel, like the MG. It's like this way. Spleen said no, right. Turn right. What are you doing? You just turned left. Well, spleen said turn left. I thought you said it said turn right. It was what right when I was about to turn right, it said turn left. That's for squirrel, right? Cat in a hot tin roof, like jumping a little bit, a little bit sort of jumpy, um, appearance wise. Our friend, or far more, my friend Tressa, she moved from across country to Tennessee on a splenic decision. She just told me last night it was the first time she'd ever, not the first time, but it was the biggest time she'd ever just trusted her spleen. One day it said move, the next, within hours, she's calling everyone and making it so without any forethought, with no mental, not the measurements. The only mental measurements were making it happen as a manifester, creating an impact. It's insane. It's hard. That's what the point I'm trying to make. To get to the point where you would trust it enough to just give that a shot regarding moving your two children, your two exotic cats, right? Yourself, the thing, doing the thing, right? Over 1,000 miles away is the spleen. It says existential right now. It says instantaneous. And this resonance and this recognition is psychically attuned. It is psychologically attuned, yeah, because it's got to filter and hear the noise of mind and then still give you its truth in that moment. And it does anyways. It's so existential and inbred in part of us since the very beginning. You know, dogs and cats and stuff, they have a spleen. They've all got a spleen. The whole animal kingdom has a spleen, but they don't have
It's
this
instinctive.
neocortex to get in the way. So when you watch their awareness, it's all splenic.
They're just
That-
responding in the moment.
right, right. That's
Hungry now, got to go to the bathroom now, gonna go over here.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
just
whatever. It
everything is
is.
existential and in the moment,
That's
purely splenic.
all it is. Really. I don't know what's actually developing in those little mammalian brains on those other creatures. I bet you there's movement going on with all of that.
You
I
got to
don't know.
get the pet buttons or whatever, where the dogs and cats are hitting the buttons, where they're like, "Pet me, take me for a walk," and they're like becoming sentient.
That's what I'm getting at. I have no idea, but I sometimes
They're
feel
so
it. I
silly.
feel like there's a moment in time when they have these moments. But regardless, we love them. We watch them. They are splenic. You can't miss it. They are the perfect observation of not here, now there, now over here, now there. Stretch, right? Get up, go to the food bowl. So whatever the thing is, we're that way, but on a grander scale because we're nine-centered humanity. And so that which is inside coming out as our protective awareness. The spleen keeps you safe. The spleen gives us psychic, intuitive attunement. It gives us instinctual, sudden nose, tasty, touchy type sense. It gives us instinctual and intuitive judgment of this or that. Not everything is to save your life like an intuition duck. The car's about to hit and suddenly it hits, or instinctual. That guy's coming after me. I see it in his eyes. It's judgment too. Oh, I can't live here. That's my judgment. It's just as good as any place. See, four walls, heat. This phone cord. Got stuff. Got right.
Not healthy, not safe, not right.
Just it. That's all there is to it. Nah, now take them around to some other places, and spleen might say, good enough, because suddenly that's all there was, or some. Who
Mhm.
knows what the thing
Or
is?
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go
Or
ahead.
so who knows what the thing is? The point is that it is quick and snappy, and it speaks softly, like the notations say, and it's this attunement to judgment, to taste, to instinct. The judgment is it can be very pointed, by the way, but it is still there. It's like this taste that you have. I like the music that way. I like it this way. This would play this spleen plays a huge part in how improv unfolds by the jazz man, you know? I mean, it's
Because it's
pretty,
now and in the moment
yeah,
and
the
it could be.
jazz man. It's just right. You can't miss that intuitive, tasteful, instinctual moment of, even though mind is involved in a way, it's like it had to learn all those scales. Emotions are involved. It drove that emotional depth of how we get goosebumps in these moments that are so juicy. Spleen is there, moment to moment, wailing away at bebop. By the way, I'm Berkeley grad. If you've ever tried to read true bebop from Dizzy Gillespie and those cats, it's insane, but it flowed out naturally. So that's the spleen. The spleen is there to play bebop jazz music where every note is correct if you're listening to it.
What an analogy. Yeah, splenic authority, it's an interesting one because it's that little voice in the now. It's that thing that is scanning your body that's going like, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? Yes or no? Here's this little message. Like this is the voice that's like, hey, it's time to leave the party. And if you listen to it, you're walking out when the cops are walking in. Like that kind of situation. And especially with the spleen, like this is so related to health and safety that not listening to this one can be really dangerous. Like in like a personal anecdote, my sister has a defined spleen. She's a sacral authority, but a defined spleen. And she was like leaving church with her kids one day. And she had this sense of like, don't walk out the side doors, walk out the main doors, walk out the center doors, not the side doors. But everyone started going out the side doors. And so she just went along with them and something was messed up with the stairs outside. My mom wiped out, fell on my sister who was holding the newborn baby. My sister broke her leg, like sticking out of her skin type of thing, and has then had casts and metal put in and metal taken out. And it's like this years and years long saga because she didn't listen to that splenic instinct that said, go out the main doors, not out the side doors. So,
Can
like,
you
this is like serious business kind of stuff.
psychic attunement?
Hmm.
It's real. It's not. I don't know how you're going to harness it to win the numbers tonight. Don't look at it that way. It's not psychic, like, you're invading the thoughts of your business
No,
partner's
it's an
mind.
intuition in
It's
the
an
moment
into,
about your
yes,
own safety.
yes, and potentially that of the environment. It comes, the environment tells you, your body tells you. It's this connection we have, just like in quantum mechanics. One thing is here and one thing is there, and they're both in the same place at the same time. Our spleen has that psychic attunement to every last little thing, but only as a potential. It doesn't, if you're not seeing it or hearing it, then you just miss it, because like Moni says, it speaks softly. It doesn't scream at you. Even the sacral screams much louder, and we miss that all the time. It's like it's all the emotions. It's like Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. It's just emotions, because we hear those like there's no tomorrow. Same thing with our
They're
mind. We hear
heavy.
that. Yeah, in the mind, we hear it all day long. The toy box is clanking away. Stop the dripping faucet. But this spleen, soft. It's like, none of that, my child. Here you go. No, okay. Here you go again. No, okay.
Yeah,
Here
it's
you
like
go.
the emotional stuff is heavy, right? Like the emotional wave is heavy. It has that viscosity, right? So it's either like champagne or molasses. The head, the ajna is like a carnival ride, like do 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 do, like just a toy
Totally.
box playing up there that you can just get like distracted with like the pretty lights and stuff. And then
That
the
was
spleen is
good.
like, thanks. The spleen is like, hey, cross the street.
Hey, dude. Right. Where,
Yeah.
by the way, the best advice and the coolest stock tip comes in that way. "Hey, dude, don't do that. Get this one." That's it.
Mm.
Now, the one who was watching is like, "Oh my god," and they're writing up the ticket. They're the one that cashed in that day. Literally, that's the spleen. The spleen is your covert, psychically attuned, forward-looking point guard. That's the that if you let it, it will always keep giving and giving. Don't interfere with it. Don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna tell you what my spleen says," because it's too late at that point. You know what I mean? Or make up their mind for it. Just recognize we have no contact with our spleen until it contacts us. Until as it is pouring out its wisdom, we just can't go in there and see what that's about. We can go into our mind all day long. Yeah, there's unconscious stuff we get into for hypnotherapy, let's say, or stuff like that, but we can go in there. You can't quite go into spleen. You can only mentally get near spleen and understand it, sure, but spleen exists on its own, sort of like sacral. You can't quite go in, but even that you can participate with a heck of a lot more because it's a lot louder than spleen. So
Yeah, and for the splenic people out there, it's like allow yourself to be existential. Like you're not here to have like a long-term commitment and a knowing on that. Like you're here to just like in the moment decide on whatever's coming your way. So I don't know, don't hold yourself to the standard of making like super long-term decisions. Like allow yourself to kind of be finicky because that's what it's kind of gonna be like for you. Where it might
let
be
me
okay one minute, it's not another. Go ahead,
Yeah, I want to finesse that just a little bit.
please.
Sometimes decisions are long term and they must be made. Be wicked, open, and receptive to changing that. At any point in time, spleen will tell you. If it's a big decision, change slowly. I get it. Because you'll be looking at spleen will be like, no, no, get out of here. But maybe it's like a cushy job and you got a mortgage to pay and all kinds of things, obviously. So move slowly. Recognize, oh, you got yourself in. And always, as the splenic being, you have a verification. Even the sacral beings have this as a verification, but spleen, you can actually, this is where spleen will interface with mind as a deep visceral memory, as deep as something you smelled with your nose. And we know how deep that is, right? I know that smell, right? That's deep. We can remember a smell from 3 years old. Um, it has this capacity to basically, shit, I lost my point, Moni. What was I just talking about? Fuck. I got
So
all lost in the
what
olfactory
again?
and I was admiring the olfactory. I'm like, yeah, it takes in everything, doesn't it? And I got lost.
Oh, you were talking about because sometimes big decisions have to be made and you're stuck in a job and you have a mortgage. So if your spleen is saying get out, then allow yourself to like make your steps out slowly if it's not something that you can just drop everything and do something
Mm.
completely different. Like allow yourself some grace and
And you'll
time.
recognize that verifying moment where every splenic being can chronicle this and even write down the words for it, where they look back in time and someone asked them, was there a moment where you knew you shouldn't? And every one of them was like, there was a moment and I knew it. Oh my God,
Mhm.
I knew it. I knew it. Your sister,
Oh
I
yeah.
knew it.
Oh, she's still she
To
like
this day, she remembers that moment because she knew.
and anytime she doesn't listen to it, it bites her in the butt and she's
Listen,
like,
was that a guess? Or did she
"What?
know? She should
What
have
do you
gone
mean?"
out the front door instead of the side door.
She
Was
knew
that a
she
guess
should
or she
have. No,
knew?
she knew she should have gone out the front door. She
I agree.
absolutely knew, but
I
everyone else
agree.
started walking out the side, so she's like, "Okay, let me go do that." She's the one who's like, how many times she was like, "Hey, we gotta go right now," and they're walking out as the party's getting raided by the cops. Like she has that immediate
The
splenic
point
knowing,
is,
and when she doesn't listen to it, it bites her.
and I agree, it's a knowing. And so everyone who's watching this and taking this in deeply, recognize it does know. Allow that, by the way. Just allow it because there is a knowing in there that's beyond your ring pass nod or mine. We can't necessarily be like, exactly what are the factors of all of that knowing? Just understand it's now known for now in that moment.
Until the next moment might be a little
Until
different.
next moment, right. And the splenic being, don't worry about turning someone off and then being turned back on by them. I don't wanna talk to them right now, da-da. Oh, wow, that might be true. And if the other being is right for you, they'll be like, "No, it just wasn't the right time." Because 5 minutes later, it'll be like, "Oh, dude, yeah, sorry. Hey, I got you now. Can you?" And suddenly they are. That's how the spleen works. Honor all of those little micro decisions that suddenly move your direction off what your mental mind thinks it's supposed to be. And the ones you can't honor, watch and see how many times you recognize, crap, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. So,
Yeah, it's like a leaf in the breeze. It's just always a different little breeze that's going to change its direction. Like you don't know which direction the leaf is going to fall. It's just going to be nudged in these little different ways.
indeed.
Mosey?
Hmm. I have to step away for just a half a second, but so read just a hair slow.
Okay, I'll read slowly. God, he's such a riot. So next up, we have our self-projected projectors. This is 3% of the population that has a self-projected authority. And this is about listening to the direction in your voice. It's a powerful voice of the identity center because the identity center is going straight out the throat. It's going to be one of those, like, what, 4 channels where the identity is speaking out the throat. So it's going to speak the direction that you are supposed to go in. And it speaks for you in reaction to the invitation because self projected, this is only for our projectors that can have this authority. So it's about being recognized in the moment and being invited and then allowing the identity to speak for you in reaction to the invitation. Truth is expressed through the core of the identity, and no truth means there'll be no success. And when invited, listen to what you say. Listen to what comes out from the identity out the throat. Don't try to figure out mentally what to say. Simply listen and trust your own voice in the moment.
It's a really hard one because you have to now trust, right? The trust of that becomes something that not only do you have to trust, when you don't trust it, you see you go wrong and it leads to the bitterness. If you have a self-projected authority, your type is a projector. It's nothing, it's no other. And so when that happens and you start to hear your interactions, do recognize, like for instance, your interaction wasn't invited, but because your inner truth was starting to work, even that moment where it wasn't invited, you start to recognize, oh, this isn't even being heard. That too becomes part of how you're measuring your inner authority. This is one where you really do have to remember the projector's existential question. This one, and I think the next one, if it's ego self projected. Um, because the existential question is, who are you? If you're a projector, your question is, who is the other? When I say existential question, it's not a fortune cookie concept. It's you literally have genetically built into you sort of this question that you are answering, this aspect of existence that you're sort of holding down because you're always looking into who is the other, and you're always focused in on usually one other at a time, and that's where you do best. And it's in that moment where, as you self project, even not being invited is a spot where you'll recognize, oh, well, this isn't for me. That's now true. And then if they are invited, or let's just say you're talking and the other starts talking back and you're hearing yourself, that starts to become true. And the thing is, the other superpower of every projector is their capacity to recognize. That is the thing. You are the recognizers of all, and you're no, non-sacral. So you're the recognizer of all things manifested and all things sacral and generated. So that's one of the things. And in this case, when this is your authority, you become the recognizer of what your inner truth is. You may need to hear it more than once. It may take more than one conversation, depending on the size of the decision. It's all kinds of big things that would go into it, depending on how important it was. All I know is that when this is happening, the trust that to speak and talk and hear what you say, hear what you hear yourself say. Listen to the way I said that. To hear, meaning you, the passenger, what yourself, meaning you, the vehicle, say, together, you're saying stuff. When you witness that, you say, like, oh my God, that is flowing into what I'm going to end up seeing as my way. It's not emotional. So don't confuse it with, I've got these emotional feelings about it. Don't confuse it with anything. Adhere it to, align it with speaking out loud. So I can imagine the self projected projector has a lot of little strategies where they can even talk to themselves, um, just to hear what's coming out. If that is the case, make sure that's happening in the now, is the thing. That's important because if you're thinking about it, then you're fooling yourself in that time. trust me, I tried asking my own self questions as a generator to see how I would respond. And I got good at it after like a while, 6, 7 months or something, or months of it. But I still couldn't totally trust it, but at least I saw the mechanics. If I'm wondering what am I supposed to do and I manage to let out of my MG voice the question to myself, I can reasonably trust that's probably right now's question mostly. And as long as I didn't think and I just responded, I could go with it. But that was a lot of mental activity to get out of sacral response. Um, but it was a good experiment. And the thing is, but you can talk to yourself to at least see it's not nothing. It gives you a boost along your way to achieving and obtaining your own inner truth about what that is. And just keep recognizing how much of it is wrapped up in these aspects. The projector that recognizes will recognize this truth if you look at it enough, you keep seeing it. The projector with the existential question, who are you, will recognize that this self-protectedness is naturally pouring into who are you because it requires speaking it out loud, and most of that will be with another. And so let that become the thing that you start to see always seems to coalesce in how you make a decision. It's delicious because you have to be with the other sooner or later. So it puts you in communion with peeps. It's pretty cool. It helps you find the wrong peeps so you can get rid of them and find the right peeps, right? I'm assuming you don't find the right peeps first. Hopefully you do that, but considering it's usually a journey, right?
Yeah, I feel like self-projected projectors, like this is one of those authorities that would be really good to like listen to yourself on, like record yourself, like get a little like recorder app on your phone and just talk about an invitation, right? Because this is again, it's a projector. So it's somebody's been recognized and invited into something. And either if you can talk to a person or talk to your phone to a little recording app and see what comes out, see what comes out, the nature of the identities about love and direction. So, what is it that you're speaking out that then you can hear, okay, this is true, and this will be my answer to this invitation?
It's a very existential place because at the moment you're speaking, you're also hearing. That's a heck of a skill. I mean, this is something that the self-projected projector will ultimately get good at. They'll keep seeing it that way. It would be natural for them to get good at that.
Yeah,
A lot of
and this
times
I
it's afterwards where I'm like, oh my God, did I hear what I just said? And they're hearing it in real time.
well, and like projectors are here to recognize. So, recognizing their own externalization of their identity, their direction out their throat.
It was only natural. I agree.
Any other
I
thoughts
agree.
on the
No,
self-projected
but
projector?
I like the glyph
Oh,
because
thanks.
it implies that speaking to the other, speaking to other, and being in communion the way the nine centered is, leads us to a nice true north, south, east, and west. That's what it implies to me when I see that glyph.
Yeah, and the idea of like the identity center is about direction. So that's why I wanted to like pick that graphic.
Yep,
We got to have something else to say about the self-projected projectors. They don't get enough airtime. I feel
they really don't.
like all our I mean, I'm of course like sensitive to all our projectors, but like especially like our little like rarer projectors and stuff. Like you don't hear much about them. So like we got to have something more to say about the
Yeah,
self-projected
it's
projector.
sort of like the reflector and the quad split. They're not heavily covered topics as much as they could be, but I feel pretty good about this.
So you're just denying we got nothing more to say about the self-projected projectors.
Uh, why? Because I would normally go on further with other ones. Is that what you're seeing
Yeah,
here?
you like wax poetically about everything else, and you're like, nope, that's it. That's
Oh,
the
oh my
self-projected projector. Boop, boop,
God.
boop, boop, boop. Like, nope, that's what you get, and you better like it.
Wax poetically. You better like it, projector. Or tough nuggies.
Well,
Well, I
this
don't know.
idea, like, there's more to say. Like, also, like self-projected projectors, like their heart is speaking out their throat. Like, it's a very vulnerable kind of expression.
We'll recognize the power in that. There's power in that vulnerability because it tells you very quickly those who can't be trusted. It's not that often your vulnerability is like in the animal kingdom where you reveal your neck and they're going to get chewed. It's a much softer version. So allow it. Allow that vulnerability. I can imagine shame and embarrassment would be a big problem here.
Oh, yeah, and especially for projectors, because it's like we're here to be recognized and invited. So if you haven't been recognized and invited, like you are an easy target. Like I think
Yep.
that's a future episode somewhere of just like, hey, projectors, don't be such an easy target because we can be such little puppies that want to be recognized and invited, and we do let in the wrong people and we do bare our neck to the wrong people. So that's part of it is just like we're here to be invited and be careful who's inviting you. See how
Absolutely.
somebody is recognizing you because projectors are sparkly. So we do have to be kind of careful on which invitations we receive and how we like go about them because it is a vulnerable thing. And projectors, if we accept an invitation and it's not good for us, good luck getting out of that. Like we need to be invited to leave. So it's like
Mm.
there's something to be said about being very careful as a projector because we can get really stuck in some weird situations.
Well, I have noticed that successful projectors invite themselves to leave when it's no longer correct for them, and that's a skill that every projector should and can and see, can witness that is something that develops inside of them. Your love for yourself is too profound as a projector to like not self-invite yourself to leave. If it's that bad, if there's something going on where, you'll see it,
But
or
it's not that easy.
I
Like
imagine it's not. That's why I
like
said skill. I did say skill.
yeah, you did, you did. It's just like that's definitely a thing of like, oh, I'm stuck here now. Like if we accept the wrong invitations, we get stuck into some like really shady situations, and especially undefined spleen, and like somebody's got a defined spleen, and now you're just like stuck. I wish it was so easy to be like invite yourself to leave. Like you get really locked in, and people want that's the thing too, is like people want projector recognition like that
They
they get
need it.
high. People
You
get high on projector recognition and they get offended if you take it away from them. And so trying to leave a situation like that, it can be very difficult. So like be careful which invitations you accept.
That's very, very true. Yeah, absolutely. This is an existential place. You're here right now. You can only hear yourself now. If you record it, you can hear it later. But while you're hearing it now. Just while I'm getting at is your truth comes only right now, which is a common theme that keeps going except the solar plex. Other than their truth is, I'm not making a decision right now, and that becomes true right now. That's okay. But as you get down these things, you keep seeing more and more. It's what is discovered right now, what is responded to right now, what is intuited psychically through that magical spleen thing inside of us we can't talk to, but talks to us. And here, right now, what is it you're saying? What energy are you using to say it? Am I Do I love what's coming out of me? And as soon as you do, all the other parts in your body and your joy and your recognition will start to agree. And this will be the thing that noticeably just moves you in the right direction. And the opposite of that and the withdrawal from that and the denial of that or the non of that makes you fall the wrong way. So every time a decision's making, it's not just turning a direction, it's falling into that direction. This is your identity. It needs to stand up. Don't let it fall, like Moni is saying. Accept the right, projections that do light you up that are noticing you. By the way, if you get an invitation and you're a self-projected projector, that means you have definition between the G and the throat, right? So make sure they're not recognizing you for your, all that ego willpower that you have, or for that emotional clarity, or for your ability to get a lot of work done, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, make sure they're not recognizing you for, you know, all the other things, for mental definition, for this, for that, for all of, make sure they're recognizing you for, oh my God, this glorious little creature, like a flower that opens when the conditions are right, is literally giving me its truth and its guidance, and it's penetrating me, and it's right now. And it came out of their love and direction. The one thing that I can guarantee, dude, this is a guarantee that the authority you have, which is between the throat and the G center, but it is still the G center. It's because it's self projected. The throat is just the circuit board that connects the rest of it so that you can hear it, and it's made manifest into the world. But that, as you penetrate the other with your aura that magnetically penetrates into the other, focused and penetrating, it's your G center that's penetrating their G center. That's just a wicked vulnerable place to be, like Moni said, but it's also a wicked expressive. Give me truth from the G center that contains a gate to. They don't need to have it, but I'm saying the G center has that gate to this home of our direction. Give me that truth any day. To me, that's the highest form of truth. In fact, the tantric channels end in the G center. So all of
Mhm.
life's generated love and tantra, even through that vessel and into a direction, and guaranteeing some kind of home and a cradle for the spirit to be on the move in a direction it cares to be in. Give me that. And the self projected is the keeper of that. As long as they follow that strategy and their inner authority that is unafraid to speak.
And I imagine there's an aspect of if you're self projected and you're listening to yourself talk, listen if it's bitter or sweet and successful, right? Because projectors, we're
Good
here,
one, Moni. Yeah.
thank you. We
Yeah.
have bitterness and we have success. And so success is very sweet or is it bitter? So as you're speaking out your identity, if you're like, I don't like where I am, this sucks, da, 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 it's like that's bitterness coming through where it's like, okay, then that's not the right direction for you. So like
Yeah.
listen to how you like if it's bitter or sweet coming out of your throat on where you are, where you're going, how you're living, how you're loving, and that would be a good signpost, I'd imagine.
I think we have poetically waxed.
We have, thank you. Thanks, Danny.
I feel
So
better. I feel good. I'm glad you did
good.
that too. I'm glad we did one more round. It was good.
Thank you. Yeah, I was like, we don't get enough on the self-projected. We gotta go through that more. So next up, we have our ego manifestors. This is 0.8% of the population. So we're getting into our really rare kinds of authorities. An ego manifested authority is about hearing your will. It's the will connected to the throat and speaking the will out the throat. The authority is expressed through the throat. So listen to what you say to know your truth. Manifestor informing must be verbalized in the moment. It's not what you think you should say. It's about blurting out in the moment, and that's what's actually your truth. If you try to script your words, you've lost connection to your authority. Manifestors are designed to impact. Trust what you have to say. Surrender to the truth of your voice. Your voice leads, you follow, right? The ego manifested authority, it's the will out the throat. And it's do you have the will to express, to do, to share? I have an ego manifestor friend, and he said he could hear it in his voice. It's like when he's actually truly speaking from his will, there's like a depth, there's a power, there's this like powerful masculine oomph that comes out from his voice. Whereas when he's not, or he's trying to script it, or he's trying to like feel bad or manage other people, it's more of a high pitched, there's no oomph, there's no power to it. It's kind of squeakier that's coming out. So hearing the will in the throat to decide what you want to do and impact.
Totally. And the key word there was it's power. You hear your willpower. And by the way, like the sacral that says, hey, I give you energy now, this does the same thing. I give you willpower now, and I give you a sense of power and strength, essentially. And that becomes true. And that, by the way, that works on very mundane things as well as everything else. It's just that the ego manifested is going to belong to a manifester who isn't going to concern themselves very much with the mundane and this strategy regardless. They're too busy making an impact that their impact can be so big that they have to now pull it in at the time of decision making and strategy and authority for the truth of how to deal with the other, to deal with people and the possible resistance field out there, and to deal with the partnerships in your life, and of course, let's say you're married, you got kids, all that stuff. It's this is not a free pass that you can do without all of that other stuff. So you're going to have to use this all the time. This moment of time where you hear yourself arguing, please be very aware that in that moment that power's coming out, it's not full power during most arguments, because there's always aspects where you're just trying to get something because you're mad, and it's not the same thing as the truth. And so recognize how subtly this will manipulate the power that comes out, up to and including making it dirty, like making it messy, distorted, like a distorted wave. And so witness very clearly how the power that's pouring out this ego willpower, which can do, it can work, it can have pride, it can uh, it can have an ego reward, it can feel strong, it can do a commitment, it can want to do a commitment, it can be psyched that it is now committed to something willful that it can get done. All of that is a display of power. And as it comes out the throat, is that clean? Is it distorted? Is it only half power? Is it something you don't really believe and you're saying it anyways? This is a great place to see for you how simple this authority is. And by the way, this won't be as hard to hear as the spleen. This is more of a fine tuning thing, like playing an instrument where you're like having to watch just the keys of the instrument, but you get to watch them because this energy is visible. I have it or I don't. So that's what I would say about this ego manifested authority. And because you're part of a manifester, I realize you're probably not going to listen to me. So go find out for yourself, right? Don't tell
I mean,
me.
possibly. It really depends on the manifestor. Like
It
that would
does.
be my it like well, because it would be my first impression of like manifestors gonna do what they want. They're manifestors, boop, boop, boop. And kind of like, oh, it's just so easy for them. Like I feel like manifestors get the like it's just so easy for them. They could do what they want. And like they get a lot of grief in that way. But I find manifestors like they're horribly conditioned where they really do like hold themselves back or they've been too impactful and people can't handle it or they didn't know, hey, let people know you're gonna do something so then they won't freak out at you when you kind of bash into them. Like without that teaching, it can be, I think, very difficult to be a manifester because they're whacking into people with their aura and they don't realize it. And then people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And they're like, whoa, what did I do? What did I do? And then they get like they start acting like a bad projector waiting for an invitation that's not going to come. And with ego authority, I'm an ego projector. We'll get to that one next. But what I even find a lot of is like, yeah, the will is there or not, but a lot of times it's meh. And you kind of get caught up in other people's stuff because it wasn't like a huge yes or a huge no. It's just kind of like, I don't know. And you get stuck in it. Or you're in a situation where your authority is your ego and your will and what you want, but your will didn't matter like growing up in your house or whatever it might have been. You might have been really smooshed down because a lot of it is like you go along to get along. And a lot of times there's not a hard yes or no. So you go along with things. But then when you do actually like, no, I don't want to do this, well, you have to do it too bad. Suck it up, eat it, deal with it. So the will gets squished a lot, I think, in ego authority. So I feel like this one could be more complicated than it sounds. Like in a perfect deconditioned, you never had to deal with any nonsense. This would be super cool. Listen to your will. Do, like your will wants to do something, let people know, go do that thing. It sounds super easy, but I feel like ego manifested could be like super, super conditioned to their will doesn't matter or don't bash into people or hide away or all these different things. So I think there's a lot of grace to be given to our ego manifestors as they learn how to navigate something that is big and powerful and their will can do something and can do it really cool and learning, okay, my will is really lit up, I want to do this. Okay, who am I going to knock into if I do this? Let them know, and by letting them know, that resistance will drop away and then they could just do the thing. But they need to be able to say that they're going to do something and not be bothered, not be stopped, and learning how to navigate that and not fearing that someone's going to try to control them so they don't tell them and then they bash into them and then the person gets upset and it all turns stupid. So, like, learning to navigate that appropriately.
Yeah, and if you're at all into your human design body graph and you have this as an inner authority, pay attention to the other gates. Part of what will drive the will is what your collective gates or your incarnation cross wants to share. Part of what will drive your will is the empowerment you feel. If you've got a gate 12, for instance, and suddenly now you can do. It's like I definitely know I can do this if I'm in the mood, and suddenly if you got individual definition anyplace else or just individuality inside gates, you'll see, oh my God, mood is important to my will. My will might be able to power through it, but if I'm not in the mood, then it's still let these other things will come in as essences that the more you read your gates, it's authorities like this that are so important, I would say, to read all the other gates and just get used to what are these little nuggets inside of you, even the planet activations. Because when it comes to self projected, when we get to ego projected, or we get to manifestor, ego manifested, or even, head ajna authority, which is no inner authority. It's sort of environmental, or all of it. When we get to these ones where we are now, the other gates in your body graph will add distinct essences that are also part of your truth. Getting to know them will help you see that as the will. Basically, the time to see it is not when the will is strong. That's already true. You can see it for fanciful reasons and have fun with what you see in your gates. The time to see it is as you're in this experiment, witnessing how you're looking at it, and suddenly you couldn't tell. And you want the will to be strong towards a thing, but it's only medium. And then you look at your gates, oh, I'm not in the mood. You know what? I've got no one to share this with. I don't want to share it anyway. I was kidding myself. Whatever the thing is, you start to see, and now that becomes true for you. And you didn't waste your ego energy, because an ego being has a very guarded energy if when they're not non-sacral. Even when they are sacral, they got to be smart about it. It's just that they can afford to burn out and fall asleep and wake back up and do it again. But if you're not a sacral being, that's not a place you can be for more than a little bit of time at a time, or at all, if you can help it. So
Yeah,
you got to
don't don't
guard.
don't break your ego.
Yeah, don't break your ego. Thank you. Don't break
Yeah.
the thing. Quit it. Knock it off. Don't break that thing. It's hard to break, by the way, but you can break it. You can
It's
go too far.
easier said than done. Like, because like the ego, it's like it's the nitro boost, right? When you're playing like a racing game and you want to like zoom up really fast, it's the nitro boost, and you could totally hit that nitro boost, but you got it for like 10 seconds, and then it's gonna like drop back down until you wait for that boost to like fill back up again. So like it can totally boost and then it needs to rest. And it can boost and then it needs to rest. It's the heartbeat, right? The heart is going to pump the blood out to the body and then it's going to rest and get filled back up and then it's going to pump it back out again. Like that's what this ego authority is about. And so the importance of resting and taking that break, because when the ego is overrun, and we could totally play around with sacral energy for a while. We can buzz around. If you're an undefined sacral, we could buzz around for a while and you're by a new person with a new buzz and a new buzz and a new buzz. But you're going to totally jack up your sacral after a while, and your ego is eventually going to get exhausted and it can't keep pushing beyond what capacity it has. And that's when you turn into the crying toddler. When the ego is exhausted, it is the crying toddler who can't handle it, and you're just starting to freak out because you don't have the energy and you just need to lay down and take a nap.
Lay down and take a nap is literally the right advice. I mean, I couldn't even put it any better. And it really is good advice. Like literally lay down, and if not take a nap, just lay down, close your eyes for a little bit.
Zonk out. Do whatever
Zonk
it is
out.
where you're
Yep.
not working. Because, like,
Yep.
if all you have is your ego as a motor, anything we do is work. Like it's not like there's some things that are like more fun, but anything that the ego has to do is work. It's not just oh free for all like it feels like to the undefined wills. You guys just think it's like a free for all and let me like just like jump into this will or whatever. It's like no, it's
Yes.
work.
Yep.
So it's
It
like
is.
what are you wanting to put your work into? What is worth it to do?
I like it. I like it.
Awesome. Ready?
Let the ego manifest. Just recognize the ego manifested authority, recognize their manifestor way, and that they're very much in cooperation with their throat to feel and hear and know the strength of what the ego is pouring out. And just recognize that these two things go together, and you are meant to manifest. You'll hear it. It'll be clear in your voice through that willpower. It's a good place to be.
Perfect. Mosey,
Hmm.
nice cherry on top. So, next up, we have our ego projectors who make up 0.45% of the population. We're super rare, and I feel real special about it. So, for ego projectors, the question is what's in it for me? The only thing that we can trust is waiting for the invitation, and we need people to come to us to invite us. We need to be properly recognized and invited. We can't just do the thing, even though we have a defined ego. It's like we're waiting to be invited and first being recognized and then invited, and then listening to our heart's desire of what do I want. The heart stays healthy by making and keeping promises and proving it has the will to complete that which with which it has agreed to. And to avoid physically taxing the heart, we must be correct when committing our energy over a prolonged period of time.
It's that correctness, that taxing the physical heart. This is the heart muscle, and it's also other aspects. It's the gall of the human. It's this thing that is the warrior or not, is the willpower or not, is the commitment or not, is in control of its energy or not. And um, when it's this ego projected, it is the warrior or not, because it mandates there's one channel. It's 5125, the channel of initiation. And if that's the channel in your body graph, that gives us, by the way, all of these could come with head definition and still be that authority. They just can't come with any other definition inside the body graph because then the authority will change. It could technically come with a root center and stay the same, but you can't have a root center without one of the other three main authorities being attached to it. So, sort of like the head center in that way. But just head center definition or not, or head to throat, excuse me, ajna to throat wouldn't matter, as this authority is coming out literally from the ego heart's desire. It's their recognition of how they like to project whatever work they do in the world to be something of value to them. Ego projected people, just like ego manifested people, are looking for the right value. The ego is very obsessed with value, as it should be. If you don't have good value, Gate 50, you don't have a tribe. And the ego is the heartbeat of that tribe, and that tribe is the thing where it's safe to both make the babies and protect them, and that's a core thing. No village works any good if their children aren't healthy. And if the environment's not healthy for the kids, everything is in stress and chaos at that moment, if that's the case. So the ego's got an important job. And that important job as a projected element in a projector, besides just awaiting the recognition and recognizing that it's looking for the thing that's going to feel like the right work, and of course the rest period, because this one is going to burst and then need to rest and burst and need to rest. It's to recognize that that connection with the identity puts ego projected in my mind as ego identity projected without a definition to the throat. And I've always sort of looked at it that way.
Mm,
It has to go both ways. You
but
can't
only one
be
is the
only the
authority.
I agree, but try to have a cooperative authority with no recognition whatsoever of your identity. Your identity has to sense the right love and direction, or the leap will never feel right.
Sure, but it's one of those things that I do think just tends to complicate it because my identity can be like, this is nice, this is neat, I like this, but if my will is not funding it, it's not correct for me. It's not like if someone
And
has their soul,
if your identity isn't participating with recognizing that this might be or not might be, then your ego won't fund it.
but
That's what I'm
the
getting
ego
at.
wouldn't even wouldn't even be involved at that point if like the identity doesn't even identify it. Like it's like
That's my
you
point. It's a
I,
big part of it. They can't be divorced from each other, is all I'm saying. The
Yeah, no,
throat
they're
will serve.
related, but I think it just confuses it because then we get to the point where people try to say that ego projectors are self-projected, and it's just like, no, it's not. If somebody had their solar plexus to their root, you're not like, well, it's root solar plexus authority. Like nobody would say that.
I
Like
still
nobody
have a
would say
sense that this is ego identity projected, not ego. It's ego identity authority. I put ego first because it's the ego authority. I always look at this as ego identity authority, and I talk to it as if it's ego identity authority, like I was just doing.
sure,
But
but
either way, it
it
is
just
still ego
complicates it
projected.
for no reason.
I find a good reason for it, but that's going to drive you crazy if we keep talking down this particular path. Um, the ego projected itself because it is a projector. They need that trust, because if they don't have that trust, that this is something that becomes a great measurement. That trust will lead them to the wrong place, and their ego willpower will have poured into the wrong thing. And this is a place I can imagine this ego projected for the projectors. If we had to take a measurement of like 10 of each type of authority for a projector, this one would have this different type of bitterness that would fall real deep, like, yeah, that right, and it feels like it scars, but at the same time, it also heals because the ego is willing to heal its scars because it is powerful, to a degree. I don't know to what degree you would say more, because this is yours. This
Yeah.
is your ego projected authority. That's
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing, and it is a different kind of bitterness, I think, that comes through. And I think it's because if even if you look at the body graph, like it's the will to the identity, it is like as centered to the body graph as you could kind of almost be. And
Right.
it's a projected channel, and projected channels are like, I know I got gold in here, and I want to put it into the world, and I want to be successful putting this gold into the world. And if you're not properly recognized, if you're not properly invited, if your will doesn't matter and nobody cares if you want to or don't want to do something and you're just stuck doing what they have to do, it's all these ways that can kind of crush it where that 2551 can't make it out into the world, and it's this deep core of who you are, your love, your direction, your willpower. It's the heart of the being. That's why I did the little care bear, right, with the little
Mhm.
heart, because when we're in alignment, it is, even when we're not, like we have a care bear stare. Like there's a force that comes out of an ego projector's chest that I've had to learn to angle away from people, because if I am too passionate, it can like knock them out. And so it can be this love shining the new direction, and I'm going to take my machete to that jungle and we're going to forge a new path and like let's go. Or it can be like get out of my way, or samurai warrior, or yeah, a deep level of bitterness because I just want to shine this into the world, and it's not, that's
Not
not
happening.
happening, that
Right.
capacity isn't happening, or just the openness that can absorb so much from these seven open centers, that I think there's a lot of bitterness at getting lost in all of that and not being properly recognized at that really good stuff with the will to the identity. So it is a deep one. And back to like the authority side of it, it's like if you think of it like the heartbeat, the heart is going to pump out the blood and then it's going to pause and refill. Well, it needs to know that like good fresh blood is coming to like pump into that heart. So it goes back to this, like, what is in it for me? Am I going to get more out of this than I put in? Because I know if I'm doing something and I'm going somewhere, I'm going to bring my magic. I'm going to make it nice. I'm going to put in all this effort and energy and like look real cute about it. And I could bring all of that. But if I'm not getting something worth it in return, like what was all that effort worth? And then there's a bitterness. So it's like, it does have to be, and it sounds like, oh, you're being selfish, you're being selfish. Like anyone who calls an ego projector selfish is like not your friend, because otherwise we get so lost in the seven open centers and what everybody else desires, it will break us. Whereas if I'm first taking care of myself, then I actually have the will to do cool stuff and forge the new direction. And also, what is it? 65% of the population has an undefined ego. So they're amplifying the quality of my will. So if I'm not taking care of myself, everyone around me with an undefined will is going to look really sketchy and they're going to be having a bad time. Whereas if I go lay, I go rest, I take care of myself, I eat, I put on my own oxygen mask first, my will be so overflowing that everyone around me with the undefined will also be overflowing and have access to that energy. So it sounds like, oh, you're being selfish and it's a bad thing, and there's all this like grief that we get for this kind of stuff, but it literally has to be what's in it for me, because otherwise I will deplete myself. It is the heart that is going to beat out the blood and nothing's coming to refresh it. Well, then like everyone, the whole body's going to die if the heart doesn't have fresh blood to pump through the body. So let's make sure that the heart has good, fresh, clean, quality blood to pump through the body, because otherwise everything else collapses. Like this is the will to go in a new direction, the will to be yourself, and that's what we're amplifying in other people. So it's like I really feel it's like take care of your ego projectors. We're a special rare type, and we can help you go in new directions. But like it really is the quality of our heart, and taking care of the physical heart. I've started monitoring my heart rate and looking into like heart coherence and all these things, because that's going to be a telltale sign for me, is like, am I okay? Is how is my heart? Is my heart beating too much? Am I overwhelmed? Am I agitated? Like that's going to tell us a lot.
Don't let your heart fall into decoherence. It's a term inside of the that I've been listening to recently as I've been studying quantum mechanics, and this
Casually.
whole it's actually a glorious little term. This heart stands in like a superposition. It's always ready to be not only the work or the energy, but the power, because this is like a willful, knowing willpower. So every time this particular being is invoked, like Moni says, it's work. It starts there and it is always stays as part of that because that is the power that pours out of the ego. So a great thing to recognize is as that's pouring out and feeling right, this is where the bitterness versus success ratio is really what you're looking at as a prime measurement, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like the will, like we can work. If it's worth it, we can work. But make sure like it's worth bothering me to do. Like as an ego projector, it's like call me when you need that specialist who can do only what I can do. If there's some generator that's happy to go be working and putting their sacral energy into something, you ask him first. And ask me when you need that really specialized thing because again, it is a limited quality of will, and I could put it into something. And 2551, I could forge a new direction. I could go somewhere. We can do something really cool. So make sure it's not wasting my time with something that someone else's sacral is already like, yeah, I want to do that. Let me build that thing, you know? And like the idea of also like, since it is all work, what the will is going to do, like, you need to kind of like warm it up and encourage it and oh only you can do it, we can't do it without you, that kind of stuff is really good for a defined will that you need on your side.
absolutely. One of the things that ends up happening is this thing I've referred to before as an ego reward becomes very important here. Just recognize that's part of what sustains the being. It allows the release of that energy. So recognition of all of that stuff is wicked important. And for God's sakes, don't compete with your ego projected friends. Not that you have too many of them, but don't compete with them unless they start competing with you and it's something friendly. Hey, we're playing tennis. Okay, compete for a little bit. I get it, you know. But outside of that, don't. The competition is not your friend.
And ego projectors, if somebody does come up to you trying to like start something and be competitive, just let him. Like, don't give them. Ross said that because he had the 2551, and he said he learned when somebody came up to him and started arguing to just, sure, that's interesting, that's nice. Because otherwise, they will use your will against you. Like, they will use your energy
Accidentally.
against you.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, of course, it's all unconscious. Like, no one's like aware that they're doing it. But this has definitely happened where, like, I could get so caught up in something and then I heard Ross say that of just like, don't give people access to use your will against you. And someone was trying to pick a fight with me, and I was like, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. And he, what do you mean you're not doing it? I was like, we're not arguing about this. This is dumb. And he deflated like a balloon and just walked away so confused because he thought I was gonna argue back. And then he would use my willpower against me again unconsciously. And I would not give him access to use my will against me. And it was just like a confused kid just kind of like floating away. So, try to not argue with people. Don't suffer fools if they start arguing with you.
It's an interesting when I look into this body graph, just generally speaking, and these inner authorities are places of great magical, mystical reality. Like, oh my God, all this is truly sitting in the center. All of this thing is happening here. Here would be, just totally that because this thing is constantly recognizing that which even is the wrong competition, even that which is the wrong every last thing. Let the will recognize what's right and what's wrong and let it do the work that then gives it the rest. Let it do the work that then gives it the rest. You'll know if it's the right stuff because the bitterness will be gone. It can't sit there and protest of your life. It becomes the recognition that feels accomplished. Accomplishment and success are sort of synonyms, and victory, over the system, over the thing, which we're calling, quote, a system, any system.
Well, like
System.
projectors are
Well, the
here to
system of
master those
drawing a Care Bear.
systems.
Just say it again.
Well, if projectors are here to master the systems. So there
Right,
is this
right.
aspect of like, oh, cool, I've mastered the system. I'm playing with the system. I've been recognized and invited, and now I'm finding success. Like, it's a really great feeling. I recommend it.
Right. Moni can't recommend it enough, people. Please listen carefully. So,
Projector success.
yeah,
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 dentists agree, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Mosey?
That's funny. 10 out of 10 projectors agree.
So next up, we have our mental projectors. And so this authority will be kind of funny because it'll sometimes say like no inner authority or no authority. And now I started more recently seeing like environmental. So this one can kind of have multiple names, but these are our mental projectors. So this is head, ajna, throat business without anything lit up below the throat. And this is 2.5% of the population. And for them, it's about location and sounding board. So our mental projectors receive guidance from sensory information about the environment. And remember, if you're in the wrong place, you're with the wrong people. You could ask yourself, is this environment correct for me? And also, it's about hearing your own ruminations about decisions. So this is like this two-part thing because there's an undefined identity, then you can use this environmental authority of do I feel good in the place where I am? Do I feel like I'm in the right environment, the right location? Because if you're in the right location, you'll be with the right people. If you're in the wrong location, you're with the wrong people. And then the flip side, the sounding board idea is because there's only definition above the throat, then it's about them kind of talking out what's going on up there. And then as they hear it back, either by talking to somebody who will listen to them or talking into like a little recorder app or journaling, but by then being able to, from the outside, see what they're saying, processing that to see what is the correct decision for them.
Well, to have this environmental slash no inner authority is, again, not to say that there's not authority working within the internal workings of your biochemistry package, the body, the vehicle. Um, it's just that it's not literally inside where we see these main authorities. So that's fine. This is a lot like the identity projector, self-projected, the true G center to the throat. And notice there's a combination. I mean, there's those two things are a little bit cohesive because this is all the head center point. It doesn't have to connect the throat, but it's pointing right at the throat. And if the G center is connected to the throat, then it's an identity projector. Um, this is very similar to it because they too need to hear what they say. It's just that they need to go back and forth, and that's why Moni picked the word ruminations, because a rumination is a process, whereas the identity projector needs to hear in the now what is said, and it's because their body's saying it. And in the this is the mental projector, and so in the mental projector, this becomes let me ruminate both on my own and with others. I need to have solid friends I can talk to and hear myself talking and see where I go with it and what other things might occur to me. This is the great space of where a variable will really show itself because this mental projector is right by that cognition of the four variables. That's where it belongs. It is part of our cognition, all four variables, including the nodes that move us. So that's a part of our environment. So the environment is very much the people in it. And right, the GSEN will be like, I don't think I belong here. Yeah, that's true. But you're still going to talk to your friend that you're with, unless you're on your own, which is you have to do sometimes too. But any bigger decisions, call your bud, talk to your partner, talk it out loud. We should start up a new business, a phone bank of professional friend talkers. So you could just call professional friend talking and
It's
you
like
can talk it out. What?
the Simpsons, though, and Marge was the listen lady.
The listen lady, love it. Yep. But this goes further. You got to talk back too. So professional friend talker. Um, there's actually probably a market for that because this is in the world, and it's not the only one that needs to talk to the other to find out what's going on. Um, I have mental definition. I constantly have to hear myself sound it out as well, along with other things.
Hmm.
But it's
Yeah,
hearing communion with the other, the interaction that goes on, the further rumination, because you're mental. And what is the frequency of the head and ajna awareness system? The frequency is over all of time. It's not a frequency in a wave like the emotion. It's not a pulse that is just an existential in the now, like the spleen. That's its frequency. It's just now, just now. This is over all of time, one straight line. 3 years old, if you remembered it and you can recall it, over all of time you will have it. And so this is like ruminating over the immediate time right in and around when they're making a big decision. Should I quit this job? Should I move on? Start talking about it. In fact, relax and don't even think it's fully your decision until you've talked about it. So when someone's like, "Hey, dude, what are you gonna do?" "Well, I haven't talked enough about it yet." "Oh, okay. Maybe tomorrow we'll get back to it." Yeah. There's someone who's a good friend recognizing their projector friend hadn't talked about it enough. If they're a really good friend, they'd say, "Well, talk to me if you want." You know, that's the thing. It's about offering yourself to be there so they can talk and hear themselves. And by the way, that's the primary recognition. That's the recognition that tells them the most that they're recognized. And by the way, that's the thing that lets you know that's the right person. And probably you're also in the right place, at least for now. That gives you so much of your truth by sharing this stuff out. The problem with it is, what if your definition is 61, 24, 43, 23, right down the center,
It's
and you're
all
just a
individual.
unique freak and you can't really get it all out and you're not even sure? What if you're all that and you're missing 23? So there's a
Mm.
split, you know? You're gonna have to have, and you're a 2-4. Let's do that. Let's put every impediment I can think of in there, right? The cross of Eden, so
Oh my God.
whatever, cross of explanation, really. Um, there's again this that nature might be make it more difficult, all the more reason to have your unique and creative friendships and bonds and various things so that you can call and talk. And by the way, you've already figured that out in many ways. So when you can't get it at home or there's not enough friends around, you've got a friend at the local store where you go to buy your paper and you stop and talk to them for a few minutes. You've got a friend out here that you've been whatever. This is your excuse to, like, well, I'm going to go do my banking because my friend over there will have to hear me for 3 minutes. I'm going to the pharmacy because the pharmacist has to listen to me. I'm going, whatever it is, you've developed little strategies to sort of get some of that when you can. And you'll notice you've got this mystical quality that's always looking for the unique opportunity to maybe engage a conversation. It's like, and if they're penetrating you, they're drawing that out of you. You might see with the mental projector, you're almost more inclined to start saying something, in those moments of impact when you first meet a being, when the moments are consequential like that. So let the words fly. You are the wordsmith, and the words are the wordsmith of you. So you can only see them when you're in combination with the other. That makes you and someone else, and that will always make two. And so try to get to that number and talk it out.
Yeah, and like, understand your friends' authorities and their definitions to try to ask. Like, if somebody's like a generator, be like, hey, I just need to like blah, blah this. Can you just hear me out? Like, I don't really need much feedback, but I just need to have somebody I can talk to about it. Or inform the manifestor, hey, this is how I function. And it would really help me if I could just talk at you. Do you like, would that be cool? Like
Mhm.
inform the manifestor, XYZ. So you can find those people who are like, oh, cool, I don't even need to do anything, especially if you let people know, like, I don't need anything from you. I just need someone to talk at. Like, oh yeah, cool, I could listen. That's great. Let them off the hook, but inform them because again, it's like a projector. So it's like you need to be recognized and invited to share, or somebody might be annoyed, like, why are you talking at me? I don't care what you're saying. But honor the other person's type and authority to explain, hey, this is how I function. It would just help me out in like making this decision, or journal, or use a recording app kind of thing. Like there's different ways you can kind of play with this and see in different places. See, there's that coffee shop that you really, really love and you feel great and you want to journal there. Like that would be a cool way to kind of play with this of like, where's the location that you feel good at and where you can kind of blah, blah about something so you can find your clarity.
That location is very important. There's no question about all of it. So if you're environmental slash no inner authority, it means you're a mental projector. By definition, that means you're a mental projector. So there's one or more of 6 channels available to you. That's it. And that's what you need to look for. And if that's the case, recognize the deep commitment you have to actually being with another enough to talk it out. Dude, just watch your life. Your health is, and the health of your decision making is contingent upon a few people that you call around to talk it through. It's a requirement. By the way, it's one of the things that keeps you in the world. By the way, it's one of the things that makes mental projectors such, amazing guides because they have to be in the mix with the people. By the way, the projector is guiding humanity. You are the new form here, and this mental projector is one of those authorities that guarantees we're being penetrated by projectors. By the way, for all of these last three that we were talking about, as it relates to the projectors, the the identity projected, the ego, um, not ego projected, but the ego, what was it for the
Manifested.
ego manifest, the ego projected, so another projector, all of the projector ones, you know, recognize that where you, because you need to hear yourself talk, so that's with another. You need to feel that will, and it's almost always going to be as it relates to something you're doing with another. Recognize that where you train your eyes and square up your body is where that projection of you
Yeah.
focuses out to penetrate the other. You're not if someone's like over here and you're like, hey, well, yeah, I hear you, and you're over here, you're looking at someone else, you're not. Maybe a little bit is, I don't know what that ratio is, but I mean, you're basically not doing it. Square up and where you move your eyes, and especially then square up the rest of your body at it, that's where your penetration goes. Keep that in mind as a literal thing. It's literal. It's a mechanic you can
Yeah.
count on.
Yeah, be careful what you aim your eyes at
Yeah.
as a projector.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
super true, like for good and bad, because you could really start picking up some funny stuff from people, or, people will feel the focus and they don't like it,
Yep.
or people want the focus and they don't get it. Like being a projector is like it's a little bit of a landmine situation with that projector focus because it can make people uncomfortable because you're penetrating them without their consent, or you're with too many people in the room and you can't focus on each little individual one like a nice little snowflake, and then they get mad at you because they want your projector recognition because it feels really special. Like you could get in a lot of trouble as a projector.
Mm. Indeed. My best friend is a mental projector. This is his one of my best friends. His name is John Quincy Adams, of all things, the fourth. John Quincy Adams the fourth. Great name.
Any
Um,
relation?
yeah, yeah, down the line. There was a split, so it's not direct to the president, but the
They wanted
split.
to keep the name.
Well, it was still part of the family tree.
Stolen valor.
No, no,
I'm
he's
being
part of the tree.
stupid. I
Okay,
know I'm
it
being
worked.
stupid.
It
I'm
worked. I
making a
took you
joke.
seriously. That was funny. See, people, that's the second line missing the cue, the social cue.
I
There's a
also
social
say have
cue? What?
a silly dry humor, but yeah, so mental projectors,
I
talk
didn't
it
bark,
out.
that was my wife. Missed the social cue. So, listen, I don't know, I won't go much farther with this because I remember Quincy would constantly turn around and say, and while it wasn't invited, and sometimes I just had to get away from it, I realized that was my having to get away. That wasn't Quincy's need. So more often than not, if I could, I would stick in there enough to hear, what are you saying? Because as I was learning this about my friends, you know what I mean, and he came to work for my company for the longest time, it became a duty. I couldn't tell to him. He was thick and dense, and he would not hear any of this. He's
Oh,
like, "What
mental
is this?
projectors are hard to decondition.
Okay, John. Yeah, gotcha. Safe and effective. I get it. So at the end of the day, I just had to do the thing.
Yeah, mental projectors are the hardest to decondition because all they have as their definition is up top in the head, and it's all they could rely on, but it's not necessarily the right thing to rely on unless you're externalizing it and waiting to be invited and externalizing and hearing it out and making that decision. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and by the way, it's a built-in filter for crappy decisions. I mean, it is because it forces you to take a little bit of time, like the reflector and almost like the wave, but very much like the reflector, because this is now approaching what people very often ask, am I close to being a reflector? And if you have any inside definition, absolutely not, because there's a motor there somewhere, somehow, usually, or there's an awareness,
Yeah.
from
And
the
the
inside.
aura is completely different.
Right.
Like, yeah.
That's completely different. But when you get up in the mental projector land, I do understand why they ask that question.
Hmm.
It's still irrelevant, but
No, I
it's
get it.
interesting. So you guys are really taking in a lot of all the other motors. You're open to all the motorized energy is
Yeah.
the point. And so it is important you take time because one motor will take you one way and another will take you another. And they're all in the world. So you got to hear yourself. You got to hear how that environment reverberates with the words you speak. And you're speaking them at someone, but there's still the sense of the whole rest of the environment is shaking with the vibration of what you just said. You're taking all of that in. And sooner or later, it comes to something that makes sense to you that is an actual decision that you can live with.
Yeah. And like projectors with many open centers, like they're more vulnerable than reflectors. Like everyone's like, oh, reflectors, they're completely open. There's no definition. It's like, yeah, but they have that Teflon aura. So reflectors have more protection on their aura than projectors do. So someone like a seven open centers, mental projector is far more vulnerable than a reflector.
Mm, absolutely. And people need to ignite the capacity of this being to just speak freely, because it's in the speaking freely without expectation that will bring this being to its own truth. And they need that.
Perfect. Mosey?
Hmm.
So finally, we have our reflectors with lunar authority, and they make up 1% of the population. And their authority is to wait 28 days before, at least 28 days before making a decision. And so they have the reliable and repeatable pattern of the moon's transit to track their energy. And for important decisions, wait at least a lunar cycle. And this allows time to contemplate and discuss with trustworthy confidants. Slow down. Don't let the world rush you. Pay attention to your environment. You're mirroring it. So notice, how do you feel in this environment? Is a good environment, is a wrong environment? Be in the correct place with the correct people.
All of this stuff is a feeling and a sense you have. And just like the ego projected must pay very close attention, and the actually all of those three ones must pay very close attention to their bitterness slash victory cycle. This one must pay very close attention to its disappointment slash um, surprise cycle, and be like, they feel good. This feels good, like a surprise, like surprisingly good, or it feels disappointingly yucky. This is a spot to really get in tune with that and get in tune with your gates, because the reflector's inner authority is also juxtaposed. They don't have this inner authority. They wait, but still, they have a body. There's stuff inside them. It's working. And sooner or later, it comes to mind for externalization into their outer authority for everyone else. They still have a process. And in their process, you have to juxtapose it with the fact that they have an outer authority. So, very much exactly what these people do, they have to talk it out with other people. In fact, reflectors, they're not supposed to go it alone. If ever there was a being that's highly dependent upon the other, it's this being, because even though they're lunar and they're different and they have a different cycle, they need that love and trust of the other, because they need to reflect back something. The reflector without the others is no different than asking the baby to grow up in a NICU, where there's no affection. It's just no good. That baby won't be right, if it can never be on its mother's breast or something of that nature. Um, Same thing here. They need to be on the breast of humanity. That's why you will find reflectors. They'll have more kids. After the first round of kids start to reach their teens, they have to have a new round of kids if they're still capable, because those are the most likely ones that give this lunar being uh, its most needed resource. It's not the energy of a generator that's needed. It's not the path of the that gets forged by the manifestor or the directions of the projector. They need love and trust, because they have to be around the people. I can withdraw myself. I can't tell they love me, and I don't really trust them. But you know what? I'll still do business with them a little bit. Blah blah blah. I'll generate myself to sleep, degenerate to sleep, and I'll generate awake and withstand whatever their crap is, not whatever type of thing. The energy types, the definition types, the other types, three types, have a reliable way to deal in those times when there is no other. You basically can never have a full 28-day period where there is no other, unless you plan it. I mean, maybe you plan that, and for some reason to find out something, fine, go ahead. But you'll see that's not the norm. It's not where you would be. It's not where you'll stay. You have to have the other. And your life is dependent on the right connections and the right groups and the right capacity to be in on that. This is why the 28 days, so you can bounce amongst your network, whoever they are. And if you're a 5-1 and you're a bit paranoid about people and you don't make networks that much, so you think you do, you know, if you're, a 1-3 and you're wicked introspective and you're shy and you don't necessarily say much, or 2-4, you can't even tell. Well, 2-4 is going to have network just by accident anyways, but you see what I'm getting at. Um, There may be challenges to an actual network, but peeps, you know people. And also, there's professionals you can and should talk to. Whatever your decision is, very often it'll involve something professional. Should I buy a new car? I got no friends to talk to. Let me go to car shops and talk to car people that are there. Let me go talk to the mechanic that I've used a time or two. I bet you he'll talk to me. They can initiate that way because they need to get an answer. And then they can be Teflon and only take them in a little bit. You know, those who love and give the right thing will ignite everything in them that needs to get another thing. This lunar being truly needs to know their gates so they can understand the themes of the bells being rung inside of them that will or won't feel good if this lunar being, this reflector is heavily weighted towards all um tribal definition. Well, they're going to want to go be supportive and get in a tribe and actually make some commitments and do some work for that and all of that stuff according to their nature. If it's more collective in nature, let's say it's heavily weighted towards the collective, they need a group to share with. If it's heavily weighted individually, you better have a partner or a couple of very closies that like you are intimate with in a way that you can tell them things, or truly intimate with, as in like a boyfriend girlfriend thing, a partner thing, life partner thing. So all of these things need to be paid attention to so that we can ignite that thing that comes out of them. And the slow down, don't let the world rush you, is something that should be coming naturally to you. You sort of make that happen by your Teflon aura. Just recognize the importance of reflecting back. What is it you see? Because you do have to talk to others as you go through it. And if you go it alone, please look back in time and recognize those were never your funnest decisions. They didn't get you the best place, and they never led to that full on surprisingly awesomeness that shows up and always feels like a pleasantly awesome surprise that really was just so good. I'm talking the kind of surprise that's like, dude, we're not going to make it. And suddenly you reach into a pocket of old pants and there's $500 sitting there. Oh, yeah, I remember that going in there. We're fine now. That's that kind of surprise. It's really juicy. It's good and it feels good. And that's what you're looking for along the phases of the moon. And by the way, drive through that. The moon is a driving force. You don't just pedal into that like willy-nilly. As soon as there's something going on, you'll find the lunar being willing to take an effort, almost manifestory like, to dig in and talk to the people and find out through their monthly cycle that each gate that connects them up is now an aspect of them that is in agreement with the decision. They're looking for all they're a giant split, triple split, and quadruple split being. That's what they are at all times, even though at all times they're really a single definition if they have definition. But if you take the whole month like an accordion and then squish it all together, you'll see, oh my God, triple split there, 4 weeks, 2 weeks of quadruple split. If I add those 2 weeks together, they are all these things. They got to get out into the people. They got to get into the partnerships. They got to do all of the things that happen, but depending on that split that they would be. So waiting 28 days to get through all the digestive aspects of how your body graph becomes defined is wicked important, because everything in your body graph that can will be a defined channel at some point in that 28 and a half to 29 days, because the moon will traverse that gate on the other side. So you got to wait to see what all your parts say, just like a triple split's got to wait for all its parts to get together and digest the information.
Yeah, it's super cool the idea of like I love looking at the transits and seeing what's lighting me up. Okay, sacral definition, lay down more. Okay, root pressure. Okay, try to not add a million things to the to-do list. Okay, you're emotional, try to realize it's not yours, etc. But this idea of like the reflector can just watch the moon and see like, oh cool, you got gate 15 hanging. See when the moon is lit up with gate 5. What does that feel like? And just being able to watch the moon bounce around, like Danny said, through your different hanging gates. I just think that's so cool. And this idea of the reflector with, was it disappointment and surprise? Where it's just like all this openness, it could be so cool. It could be like the epitome of awesomeness because there's no solid definition. So it could be so amazing. So that surprise when it was really cool and it was really amazing compared to the disappointment of like, that could have been really cool, but it just kind of sucked. And the idea of if they just wait through that, I was going to say wave, but wait through that lunar cycle to go through those ups and the downs and then be surprised by the outcome at the end if they have that patience to wait it out.
It's just such a good point. With all nine sensors open and you being a reflector frame, having this sampling yet a resistant aura that samples and resists the other, um, it's just really cool in a way because ultimately, yeah, you're open. Your sensors are open to all of the things that could be, but at the same time, you're open to the program first. So if just a word of advice to all reflectors, if you're noticing that you're taking it real personally about your openness as it relates to another and something's going wrong there, just recognize what's going on in you first is your openness to the program itself. You are beings of the program. We solar beings, the other three types that have a definition. So there's a juxtaposition, right? There's a contrast, there's a definition and openness. But with you, there's only openness. You become the students and the receptive of the actual program first. Meaning, I felt this through that person. I see I'm reflecting that back with that person, but I have a stellar backdrop first. And that stellar backdrop it becomes my truth because I'm of the program before I am of the people. It separates them. You and I and those with definition, our conditioning is the program hits us, but it's the people primarily that condition us and the ways and the marketing and all that other stuff. So they are the program moving juxtaposed to the rest of humanity, reflecting back that moment. Another reason why that sounds like a maturing process to me. Try not to make your decision from one moment to the next, even when your spleen is lit up. Try to wait out your lunar cycle. And wherever you are in your lunar cycle, it's that next 28 and a half to 29 days that will go by. Yep.
Perfect. Any other thoughts on reflectors?
Um, People are going to think you're a little weird, and that's great. That helps get rid of the people that aren't there, and be keenly aware of if you're not in the right place, you'll know it. You'll know it. You'll know it. And by all means, motorize yourself right on out of there at your earliest possible convenience.
Perfect. Ready for
That's
our
it.
conclusion?
Sure.
So, as our conclusion, authority is our body's unspoken wisdom, guiding decisions not by logic alone, but by the rhythm of your inner algorithm. In a world of noise, honoring your authority turns hesitation into harmony, effort into ease, and choices into alignment.
That last part where in a world of, the world that where the noise is away and basically you're honoring your authority and tuning out that noise, this last statement is just a plain truism. It's a truism. It does. It literally turns this thing that makes us constantly hold back, and it allows us to see with such greater ease that there's a reliable spot inside of me that as soon as I start seeing it, I can go back to it over and over again, and I can quit this dang mysterious guesswork that has been plaguing me my whole life. Inner authority, authority in general. And as you learn your strategy, you'll recognize strategy and authority, they go together, and suddenly you're starting to recognize yourself as an awake being, not an afraid being.
So that was our diving back into authority. And I thought that was really fun to kind of go through them again and find our footing in the different
We killed
authorities.
it,
And
Moni.
yeah, thanks. I think we did pretty good. And being
Yeah.
able to give people some advice on their authority and how to work with it and how to make good decisions as yourself. And as always, like experiment it with yourself. Like we're not here to tell you what to do. We point out patterns and tell you how you can play with it. And then it's on you to see what feels good and what doesn't.
Every once in a while, I want to try and tell you exactly what to do, but I'll avoid that mostly. But thank you, Moni.
I'm a 3-5 projector. I've learned it's best if I don't tell people what to do.
I'm a 2-4 MG and without an emotional awareness, and I can't tell what the best thing is to do.
That's funny.
Mostly. That's
Mhm.
funny. I
Any
feel good,
final th
Moni.
Yeah,
No,
any
I feel
final
good.
thoughts on authority? I feel like we covered it pretty well all
We did.
around.
No, I gave my
learn,
final thought, just that importance of it. It's that's where we're at.
yeah,
You know, it's wicked
learning.
important. Dig it, love it, and start to really follow it. You see it's so reliable. You can't miss it. You'll never go without it if you see it, that's for sure.
Yeah, awesome. So next week we are going to be diving back into a little bit more advanced. We're going to go into tone, into substructure. Substructure. We already went into color a few weeks ago, so now we're going to dive into tone and talk about how that shows up in our charts, both on the personality and design side. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then the week after that, we're going to do talking to each type, which I'm pretty stoked about. And we're going to go through the different types and how to communicate with sacral beings compared to non-sacral beings, manifestors compared to reflectors, and how we can engage better with our loved ones. And I think it's
No,
gonna be
that
really fun.
sounds great. That'll be a good one, Moni.
Yeah, those would be some good ones. So, if you would like to book a reading with either Danny or myself, check out the QR code above, or I have the link down in the description box below. You can use code AWAKEN for 10% off your reading. So, check that out, hang out with us, ask us questions about your chart and anything you got going on. We'd love to talk to you. Also, if you've been getting a lot out of our shows, you've been learning a whole lot, you get a whole human design education here, and you'd like to support us and encourage us, check out our QR code above for our donation link. That's also down in the description box below. And we thank you very, very much.
Mm. Yeah, I'm mesmerized by the donation code. I was trying to remember some of it. I was like, you can't memorize these glyphs.
These QR codes.
Yeah, I was trying to be like, could I possibly memorize this code QR code? I can't. I mean, maybe if I had a prison sentence, I could learn to, but um,
It was really
yeah.
fun when I listened to it in Polish. Then they call it a kotek, and which is a kitty cat. So the
Oh,
QR code is called a little like kitty cat, which I thought was really fun. And the
oh,
at
that's
sim
adorable.
is
That's so
that
much
super
better than
cute.
QR code.
Yeah, it's a kitty cat. And then
Mm.
when you do like an email, like at Gmail, then the at is called a maupa, which is a monkey because it looks like a little monkey with a
A
tail.
little monkey hanging.
I know,
Monkey's cute.
right? So,
Yeah. Well, I feel
so
pretty good, everyone.
I
You've
feel
got
good.
yourself inner authority, man. Take this, play it back, send it to your friends, and thank you very much, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be splitting them down into smaller videos. So you either got the live or the big one or all the little ones. Lots of different ways to learn with Awaken Your Human Design. So thank you, Danny. Thank you to everyone who is watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, hanging out with us. We love having you. Thank you for being with us while we grow, and we will catch you next week for another episode.
Till the next time, everyone. Thank you.